right. All right, there we go. Hello, everybody. Hopefully the dog won't bark. It's okay. I'm talking to people on a camera. There's no one here, buddy. I have to practice doing this when, because Jack always thinks I'm talking to somebody, which is ridiculous, I know. But he's a silly dog. Hey, everybody. So I want to share, I know you probably saw these the other week, but they're really, really cute. So I just thought I'd share these with you again. So this is the adorable one in Bermuda Bay and Coastal Cabana, my favorite colors. And then this one was Mango Melody and Pale Papaya. I always forget the name of that. I always want to call it Peach something. I love those colors together. They're super fun. So I want to show you, I actually have a little kind of a template that I drew. You can tell I hand drew it because it's a little lopsided. But anyway, I was trying to give a good idea of how this layout will work for the card we're going to create today. So I made this one using the Driving By stamp set, and I have a whole little thing of pre-cut buses. There's my army bus and bugs, and then I was calling these Carmen Gias. So they're all VWs if you ask me, but you can earn this set free during Celebration with a $50 purchase. So I wanted to show you a card design I came up with. This was it. This is the swing flap fold card. So this is always fun, and it seems that I always make one of these during Celebration. So I was like, well, might as well make one more. So this has a couple extra elements in it that I didn't grab. This is actually from the new Palms. And now I can show you the book. It'll be easier that way. From the new Palms stamp set, or die set, I should say. Where are we? Almost there. I feel it coming. Hold on. How's everybody doing? Hope everybody had a happy new year. So this is it, Paradise Palms bundle. There is a little, it kind of reminds me of something you would see in Florida where they had that little brick layout with the decorative brick. Actually, I've seen a couple people around my neighborhood have it. It's definitely an older style thing from like the 50s. I'm guessing. I'm not trying to be rude when I say that, but this is the pattern right here. So I just cut out a little pattern and kind of added it to embellish my card. And then this one I actually did on watercolor paper, and then I spritzed the stamp before no, I didn't. I spritzed it afterwards to kind of wash it out a little bit. So this was a really fun version to make. So I thought we could do one of two things. We could either make one with the buses and bugs, or I thought maybe we could make one with the robots. So I'm just going to pop here and see. Hey, Donna. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Sandy. Hi, Jessica. Happy New Year, everybody. Bernay, Donna, Sherry, Rose, Robin, Colette, Stacy. Thank you guys for joining me. Lori, man, I haven't seen some of you in so long. Hey, Vanelle. Hope you're doing well. So Donna was the person who thought that the stack stone will look pretty cool with the robots. So we can either do one with the robots or we could do one with the buses. Actually, we could even do one with the bugs. I did another practice layout just a moment ago because I always like to make sure that my measurements work. I was not going to lay DSP, so you can see this one's a little bit more, I don't want to say boring, but it's a little bit more focused on the images here versus having the outside part. I just thought it would be kind of neat to do it that way. And this one actually is a really simple. I just did this with a little, not even a watercolor wash. I just basically slightly diluted my ink and then spread it, let it dry, and then I did a little bit of splatter. So I thought there'd be enough room to write here. So when you're doing this card, It does kind of look weird. You're figuring out where would you write on it. So what you can do is when you're actually going to take the time to write on it, you can open it flat and then write on it. And then when you put it in the card, they should be able to realize that they pull it and it sits like that, hopefully. But anyway, it does have a good amount of space to write. You could totally leave this off if you wanted to, but I kind of thought I just split the sentiment here in half, the driving by on the front, and then just to say hi on the back. So I thought it was pretty cute. Hey, Pam, so I'm going to slide this because, what is it doing? This is so weird. So how I'm looking at it now is like totally sideways on my phone. I'm guessing this is what people talked about, but so long as the image isn't sideways, I guess that's what is the important part. Let me see. I'm going to make sure I can still see your comments. So does anybody have a preference if we do robots versus buses? What I was planning on doing is doing the background instead of adding the DSP. As I said, I'm going to stamp the background with this. I did pull out just jade. I do want to show you how to cut this again. It is a little bit of, I don't want to say a lot of steps, but you do have to follow some specific directions, but it's not really complicated. It's just that you need to concentrate and take your time when you do it. So hopefully that makes sense. I do already have a full one also cut out with Coastal Cabana, and then I have layers for that as well. So you guys, let me know. I see robots, I see cars. Let me wait and see if I see another something because that's one of each. And the cars, if I don't do one today, I will definitely do it another time. But I want to show you another one that I made. This is just another card. So basically I was trying to go with, if you wanted to do a fun and fancy one, you could do this, or you can just do a plain version. And then I just added a little piece of the in color DSP behind there. This is kind of a copy out of the Celebration catalog. I just went with adding my own touches to it. So I think that was pretty fun as well. So we have mango for both of those. Oh, here it is. I did have it right here. Just didn't see it. So this is the die. So it's pretty simple die. And you can cut it into pieces because it does have enough places in between where you can actually trim this down and do it. So pretty cute regardless. All right, so I do see another robot. So I'm going to do robots. And then after that, I know maybe people have seen a lot of robots, but after that, what I'll do is I'll do another version with the cars, but I will do that as a pre-recorded video another time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you. So I'm going to save this and I'll use this one for the cars. I'll do a pre-recorded video for that one. And also, I have been on YouTube quite more than I've been on Facebook. So if you've missed me, that's why sometimes it's a little bit easier to do this on YouTube, unfortunately. And again, just popping back in with the whole thing with the camera, everything I'm looking at, luckily from this standpoint, is clear. But when I'm looking at it, it's sideways, which is a little confusing when you're making the video. So I have been over there a little bit more. So I hope that if you haven't already, that you'll join me over there. All you have to do, if you want to comment, is just have a Google account. So Gmail account, which is free. Or if you want to just watch and you don't want to leave a comment, you can just head over to YouTube. You can find me there at Rachthestamper. So you can see I did all my little washing off on this paper here. So I'm going to do that same thing. Now with the robots, I've been trying to do it kind of in colors that maybe you wouldn't imagine robots in, so some kind of bright colors. So I think what I'm gonna do, and how about if, just trying to see with this, let's do one that's kind of like a, maybe almost like a Valentine's one. So I'm gonna do something completely different. I don't think I use this color very much at all, but this is Magenta Madness. And then maybe we can back it up with some just jade or something, add a layer in. So what we're going to do to get started, let me just slide these out of the way so I don't mix them up, is we're going to, and I'll show you this once we move along, we're going to cut our piece to start. So what you need this to be is 6 3/4 by 5 3/4. So you will have some scraps. So 6 3/4 by 5 3/4. Trimmer does open up all the way, which makes it very convenient. And then most of the rest of this, quite honestly, is just scoring. So one thing I will say, a couple things that are helpful. You may want to add a piece of tear and tape. I added just a piece of white paper that I taped back here. Piece of tear and tape would work nicely, and then just don't take the backing off of it. But it makes it a little bit easier to see your score lines here. Okay, so when you start, you want to make sure that you do two things, that your paper is pressed all the way to the top, and you'll notice that this little arm here has a little bit of give in it. And I'm just trying to make sure, okay, because it's sideways here, which is confusing me. I apologize for that. You just want to make sure that your arm is pulled down. So your paper is pushed up and your arm is pulled down, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to start by lining this up at 1 1/4. Now I'm lining it up just so you can see over here. We do have measurements that go all the way to the side. So lining it up at 1 1/4, and you're going to score from 1 1/4 to, I'm sorry, you're going to cut from 1 1/4 to 4 1/2. So I'm going to take my cutting blade and I'm going to move it up here to 1 1/4. So it's right there. And I'm going to cut down to 4 1/2. Okay, and you're going to take it, rotate 90 degrees, same thing. So once again, I'm lining the edge of this paper up at 1 1/4. And I'm just going to cut backwards this time. So I'm going to cut from 4 1/2 up to 1 1/4. Okay, so that is one. So then you're going to turn it 90 degrees. So right now you just have this little flow through thing. So then you're going to line it up once again at 1 1/4. Now this time you're going to score 2 different times. Okay, so I will put all these measurements onto my blog again. If you go back and search my blog or on YouTube for my celebration card from last year, I do have a tutorial already written up if you're in a hurry to make it, but I will write them down. I just try to make sure that they are written in a very specific order so it's easy to follow, hopefully. So we've turned this 90 degrees and we're going to do the same thing again. We're cutting from 1 1/4 to 2 3/4. Then we're going to lift up our blade. We're going to move this down to 4. And we're going to cut from 4 to 5 1/2. Okay. So you may see, oh, this actually worked out well. You might end up having just a teeny bit that's not cut all the way through. So what you can always do is just grab your paper snips and trim it. You don't have to make yourself upset about it. It's really not too big of a deal. All right, so we've rotated it now 90 degrees again, lining up at 1 1/2. I'm sorry, 1 1/4. I'm saying 1 1/2, 1 1/4. And I'm going to cut from 5 1/2 to 4, lift it up, and then cut from 2 3/4 to 1 1/4. And it's weird because when you do cut this, you'll almost hear it pop when it gets the paper. So that's it. This is what it's going to look like for now. Okay. Now to make this simpler, because you can do it on the trimmer, but it's a little bit simpler if you have a scoring device because you can visually look at it and it's just easier that way. So I'm going to put this on my Simply Scored scoring tool and I'm going to score at 2 3/4. Now all I'm doing is scoring above and below these cut lines. Okay, so it's a little bit easier if you're looking at it on a board like this. So 2 3/4. All right, and I'm just going to do this one here, 2 3/4. Okay, now the other thing is when you're on the bottom, it's kind of up to you. If you want to follow your 2 3/4, you can, or you can kind of just see where your edge of your paper is and do it there. I guess it really just depends. So on this side, you're going to score at 4. So you could do it one of two ways. You could do 2 3/4, turn it 2 3/4, and then you'll see this one lines up at 4. So again, we're just scoring, hopefully that is making sense to you guys. We're just scoring above and below the cut line, okay? So that's pretty much it. So the only other thing we have to do at this point is we're going to add some paper to it. So you have your card. So remember, if you want to stamp something, which we are going to do that now, you can add a decorative layer to this piece. So for this panel here, where is my card? I just added a white panel. Okay, so this is basically just like this, you can see. Okay, I added a white panel. If you want to add a layer of cardstock to it and then a white panel, kind of just depends on what you want to do. So that's what it looks like again. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use my stacked stone. And since this is such a big piece, I'm actually going to put it on a block. Now you could put this on your Stamparatus if it's easier. I do have the very large background stamp. You can see I don't use it very often because it was at the very bottom. So I'm going to put this on. And then I'm going to pick an ink that's a little bit lighter. because I don't want it to be super duper dark. So I think what I'm going to go with is, I wonder how polished pink would look. Polished pink. You know what? I'm going to go way light. I'm going to go Flirty Flamingo. So I'm going to just take my Flirty Flamingo ink pad. Again, we were saying we were kind of doing this for Valentine's. So if this isn't your thing, you could totally pick a different color scheme. And before I do that, I just want to make sure I don't have any cut lines. Nope. All right. So I'm going to take my stamp and I'm just going to, best I can, kind of line it up and press. Okay. And then I'm going to try my best to kind of line it up over here. We'll see what it looks like. I'm going to only do about half of it because we don't really need the full one. Okay. So I'm just getting down so I can kind of overlap it. All right. That looks pretty good. I do have a little bit of an overlap line here, but I think that'll be okay. We are going to put something on here. Now, this is totally up to you if you do or don't want to do the other side of it, okay? It just kind of depends on what you feel. I'm going to, because just to have a little bit of continuity to it. But I'm not going to press as hard so we get a little bit. Now this is a little bit lighter with the edges, but again, I wanted it to do that because I was just trying to make it look a little bit different. So I can tell the front from the back. So same thing, and I'm going to flip it this time instead. All right, so we have a little bit of different spaces. Which again, just depending on what you're going for. All right, so I'm going to pull this off and put it in here. So I don't stick my arm in it or stick my card in it. I'll clean this off later. Probably won't use that again for another year. All right, so now we are going to do the robots and then just thinking of something different. So maybe you want to make it a little bit, just a little bit darker to add some unpinkness in it. Let's do a little bit of a gray base. So I think I'm going to use slate. Smoky slate is more of a gray. The other one's kind of a green gray. So I'm just going to add a little bit of that. And what I'm going to do, just to make sure I'm telling you, with your white would be 3 by 4. No, your white would be 1/8 of an inch smaller. So I'm going to cut 3 by 4. So I'm just going to use 2 of these. So we'll go with 4 inches. And this should be fine. 3 inches, 3 inches. Let me just make sure before I do this. Yep, so this will be on both sides. I have one for each side. And then I'm going to need some white. So the white should be 2 7/8 by 3 7/8. And you know what? I can't get 2 pieces out of that. So I'm actually just going to grab a piece of white. And for the most part, I pretty much just use thick white. So let's see, is that perfect? 3 7/8. So I should be able to get 2 pieces out of that. So 2 7/8. It already is 3 7/8. 2 7/8. I do need 2. Let me just verify, make sure this isn't over. Just a teeny bit. Okay, so 2 pieces that measure 3 7/8 by 2 7/8. Okay. And just make sure this lines up nicely. There we go. So we have that, and then this one will be for the other side. Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to do, and I have a little piece here, we're going to stamp our robot because I'm trying to think, what do we want to do? Let's do this little dude here because he's pretty cute. We'll do him. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp him, and I'm going to do a really quick fussy cutting on him, and then we'll add him to the card. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the card specifically, but I'm going to stamp him in my VersaFine ink. This is unfortunately not something Stampin' Up! Carries, but it really is a great detail ink. The only thing is it does take a little bit to dry because it's a pigment ink. Ooh, I rushed. Try that again. That's much better. It gives you a really, really good detail. So that's why I use that. I actually should have a link on my blog for it. I get it on Amazon. So this is going to take a moment to dry. So in the meantime, let's figure out what we're going to put onto our card. How about we could do greetings kind human on the front, and then you make my heart go beep. Now, let me sing. Let me think. Listen to me. I'm not even speaking correctly. I really want something more Valentine-y, but you all know I did not buy a Valentine thing. So, I wonder if I have anything that's like a love something or other. That's the only reason I wish I bought Valentine stuff, because sometimes you want something that's like love, but not too lovey. Thinking, what can I use instead? My stone I have there. Let me just peek real quick. While that's drying. Maybe we can pull something out of this. This is another celebration stamp set called Special Moments. Sorry, it's dead silent. I'm just thinking. Because I was thinking you could do with the Feel the Feels. Where would I be without a friend like you? How about I have something for you? You make my heart go beep. I don't know. That doesn't really go together, does it? Rats. I'm going to do just a little high for me. You make my heart go beep. It's about the best I can come up with this at this time. Which is kind of sad. It's kind of funny, though. I like some of these because it says, like this one, for example. Where is it? I have something for you. You're holding it. I think that's, I don't know. Maybe those aren't even intended to go together, but I kind of think they're funny. That doesn't go together. I have something for you. Make my heart go beep. Rats. No, I'm going to have to stick with what I said originally, and it's just going to have to be, I'm going to have to go searching for something Valentine-y afterwards. I'm so sorry. What an annoying thing this must be to listen to sometimes. All right, so I know I have this in pink. You came in late. That's okay. I know I have this in pink, but I don't really want to do pink stamping necessarily. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in black, and then we'll add some pink hearts to it. So we'll go with that. Let me make sure this looks okay. All right. So we'll go with you make my heart go beep. And then, hold on, I want to grab these little hearts. And what we'll do is I'm going to stamp these and then we'll color them in pink. So I'm just going to do the same with the memento for now. It's a process. Yeah, isn't that for sure? Thanks, Debbie. That's very kind of you. It's a process. Probably everybody thinks that watching me make a card. Yeah, so I'm going to add these kind of in a couple other random spots. And then we'll put our robot on top of it so it'll kind of look like the hearts are floating out from there. Let's do one more up here. That looks good. All right, I don't want to do too much. So this also is going to need just a minute to dry. We will color that in, but I want to let the memento dry before we do anything else. Okay, so back to the robot. Here's a few things that I did. I colored the robot, as you guys can see, in a couple different ways. This one was using Pale Papaya. I used some, I don't believe we have Coastal Cabana. I think I used a combination between light Bermuda Bay and Pool Party. Then we have some pink with the hearts. But what I'm going to do is I want the heart on this one to be really vivid. So I think I'm actually going to use Melon Mambo because that's a pretty bright color, but not, it's not red, but it's a deeper pink, I guess I should say. So I'm going to add a little bit of light. Then I'm going to add a little bit of dark. Okay. Just do a teeny bit over here. And also, we got a big snowstorm last night. Big for us because it's probably the second one we've had, which the other one wasn't very exciting. So the rainbow stamper was itching to get outside and do some sledding. So we do that. I'll have to send you all some more photos. We got about 4 inches last night, which is good because it's a little bit more than we had last time. Last time we only had 2. So I have light and dark pale papaya. And then I'm also going to grab the dark mango melody. And then I have light and dark. Oh, that's mint macaron. Don't want that one. I wanted pool party. Where are they? I have light Bermuda Bay. And then light and dark pool party. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start with the light pool party, and I'm just kind of going in a couple areas. Not really anywhere specific. I try to make them so they are a little bit different each time. But I think they're really cute regardless of how you do them. So I'm going to bring in a little bit of dark pool party over here on the shading. And then I'm also going to bring in a little bit of the light Bermuda. And then we'll do the accent pieces in the papaya and the mango. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit more here. And then we'll blend that back out again with dark. I hope everyone in your household is well and everybody is avoiding all these germs and variations and whatnot. We are all healthy here. Hopefully we will stay that way. Now I'm going to just take my dark pool party and just reblend from that. And when I was doing the video the other day, I was talking about a technique, and I still can't think of the name of it, but maybe somebody will think of it and type it on here for me, because it's supposed to look like an antiqued metal, like a rusty antiqued metal. Does anybody know what it is I'm talking about? There's a whole technique that you do. So I'm just adding in a little bit of pale papaya, and I'm going to put some over here. But basically, you're wanting to make it look oxidized. I probably could have, looked it up by now, but I forgot. Okay, and I'm just going to go back in again with the dark papaya. Really like the pale papaya. I do hope it sticks around. It's kind of a nice orangey yellow. Hey, Becky. All right, so that's all I'm going to do for him. One other thing, or her, whatever it is you want to call this robot that we're working with. One other thing you could do if you wanted to, and this does take a little bit of time to dry, so sometimes I will do this after the fact. Where did I put it? But you could do crystal effects onto your heart, which will kind of make it 3D, which is really cool. But you have to wait, do this afterwards when you're setting it to dry. So, no, not when you swipe your ink card. It's the one where you're basically making it look like it's oxidized metal. I know Frenchie's done it before. That's probably, as a matter of fact, where I probably saw the technique and was like, oh, that looks pretty cool. I don't think I've ever done that. So I'm just going to do a quick and dirty and hopefully not damaging to my little friend here fussy cut, so it doesn't make you guys wait too long. These guys aren't really too bad to fussy cut, though. Thinking. I feel like it begins with the P. Patina. There you go. Work my way through that. Like a patina technique, I think, which I think is like an oxidized metal-ish looking technique. Oh, cut off his leg. Well, it's a one-leg robot. I'm going to have to see. I still have it here. I'll have to see if I can pop that back on there. Got a little too fast with my cutting. That's what happens. Oh, I'm just laughing at myself. You can't laugh at yourself, right? Actually, I think I'm just going to take these little side things off because I feel like right for this one, it's a one-legged, no antenna robot. Alrighty. almost there. Okay, and I am going to leave this little thing up here. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with it. All right, so I do still have his leg. I forgot to do this part, so I'm going to make this up here a little bit orange. Now, I showed this the other day. Maybe you missed it. But what I'm going to do is I kind of have some green, I think, on here. A little bit. So this background is going to be against white, so you really won't notice it as much. But if you have something and you're doing a background that's kind of dark, you can always take your blending brush with just a little bit of ink and kind of go over the white parts, and it almost give them enough color that they kind of blend into the background. So that's just a little tip to use with the blending brushes. And I'm just trying to make sure I don't lose my foot there. I don't know what we're going to do on the other side yet. That could be something that I'll probably do after the fact. But to stay with the color, what I'm going to do is the mango. So I'm going to go with light and dark mango. So I'm just going to add a little bit kind of into each one. Just like so. And I got a little black mark there. I must have been a little overzealous with my stamping. Same thing again. I'm going to take the bullet tip, which is the smaller tip to use, and I'm just kind of picking a side that I'm going to shade, and then we'll just drag that to the other side. So I tend to kind of go light, dark these days, where I used to start with the dark and then add in the light. But I guess as I've played with them a little bit more, this is kind of just the way that I started doing things. One other thing you could always do as well is you could add in, I'm just going to add a tiny touch there. You could add in tracing around your hearts with a black marker. I have, it's not a marker actually, it's a pen. These Pilot pens, I actually found these by following Christina Werner, because she uses these to address her envelopes that she sends out. I have no idea what any of this says. I have only been able to find these ever on Amazon, but the ink does not come off. So if you ever wanted to do it, I'll show you what I mean afterwards. But it kind of really would outline it if you had a little spot that maybe you were trying to add a little something to. So I'm just going back now with my lighter mango. Just blending a little bit. You could always add like some silver sequins would be kind of cute to this. Can look almost like little parts of a robot. I saw someone add some of the gears from the Geared Up Garage to the background, which would be kind of cool as well. So if you wanted to do this, they have fine and ultra fine. It's a really nice pen. It writes very fluidly. It does have a nice ink to it. And what you could do is you could just go back around, and I'll show you up close on this one. Now I know this kind of defeats the stamped image, but you can see it does take a moment for it to dry. It really gives a super nice depth to it. Yes, Christina is amazing. Christina and Jennifer McGuire are both really exceptionally talented ladies. I have learned a lot from them. So I'm not going to do all of them, but just to show you. So you can see your stamped image, but if you wanted something just to outline it, it almost gives it like the heart is jumping off the page. It's a little bit more definition. You could do that. Another thing you could do, maybe if you don't have that, or you want to take it another step, because you know, I'm on Facebook for a change, right, Judy? Wink of Stella. You could add a little zip to your hearts. Just kind of to the center. Just like that. You could even add like some little dots of sparkle all over if you felt like it. Okay, so again, we are going to glue, and I do want to put him on dimensionals. We're going to put him, here's his leg. I don't want to lose this leg. I'm going to have to put a super tiny dimensional. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull this out so I can see. Where is it? Just so I can make sure I don't lose that other leg. I'm just going to put these on here for right now. Flip this over. Okay, and then I did finally find that I actually did order white dimensionals. I just, once again, didn't know where they were. So I'm going to put a couple. Does this happen to anybody else's dimensionals that they're like crazy on the backside and both sides are coming off? I don't even know when I bought this pack, quite honestly. This probably could have happened to people 2 years ago, and I just didn't use my pack that were all wacky yet. but like all the backs are peeking through as well. Is that not the strangest thing? So I have a little tiny piece here. Let's see if I can fit this on this leg. It's good enough. It's probably going to stick out a little bit, but that's okay. I'm going to put a little piece here. And just so both legs are popped up equally, since I have to pop that one up. And I think I'm going to try and put a little tiny piece up here. And that's good. Okay. So prior to fully assembling this, let's do this. I'm going to put these together. Put this onto the gray. I'm just going to use some. Hopefully this is going to work with me. A little bit of the Stampin' Seal Plus. And these are very tight border. So you could make your white border a little bit smaller if you wanted to, but I kind of like the layering of the two, so that's why I went with that one. I prefer liquid glue, but this was handy, so that's why I used it. All right, one other thing you could do if you wanted to, and this is just depending on if you want to take it up a level. I'm going to go ahead and fold these, just like so. So I like to do this. I'm going to show you. My cutting blade, I cut a lot. I always have these ridges. So what I tend to do is I will take my bone folder and I will just go over. And it's easier if you do it when it's open. Just go over. It kind of just flattens out those little edges there. So if you ever get that, just take your bone folder and smooth it. All right, so let me make sure I had this correctly. So this one folds this way, because there's the back, and then this one folds in this way. So they kind of look opposite of what you would think. That's probably the hardest part when you're putting this card together, because maybe the way you look at things. So remember, this side, I didn't have all the spaces filled in. That's how I knew this was the back. So it kind of goes opposite of what you would think. So part of the back will become the front, and then the other is there. So I hope that makes sense. So this is going to be our front panel. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this one here. Now, because it is a tight squeeze, I am going to use liquid glue. That way, if I have to move it a little bit, I can. So I'm just going to put some liquid glue and pop this down just like so. Let me just make sure that looks centered. That looks good. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. You could leave this off if you haven't stamped anything yet, but since we can also open it flat, I'm okay with putting it on now. I'm just going to put this one on the back. One thing to note, and I did put this on a little bit crooked because look at my borderline there, but it's the back. It's okay. One thing to note is if you are doing this, almost you kind of have to decide, do you want to put your sentiment over here or do you want to put your little person over here? So it kind of just depends on what you want to do with that. I hope that is translating what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to go ahead and put my little robot on. I'm going to peel off these little backing pieces. And just to make this a teeny bit easier on myself, and this one has a little piece hanging down. Because we are using white background, though, it's not going to be quite as showy. I'm going to put a teeny dot of liquid glue onto these dimensionals, because in case I have to move it a little bit, it makes you be able to move it. So I think I'm going to put him right here. And then I just have to add my leg that I accidentally cut off. This one definitely needs a teeny drop of glue because this is going to be a little bit of a thing to add this one on. I'm just going to open this up. Oops. There we go. Oh, look at that. Surgery worked. Can't even tell. Unless you watch this video, you wouldn't even know that his leg was cut off. So there is that part. Really cute. And then we have our back, so you can add whatever you want there. If you want to add some hearts to the other side of it, if you wanted to, you could stamp some hearts. You could even carry this up here. I'm actually going to do it with re-inked ink, just so you can see it, because maybe this will kind of be cute. Like you're taking it off of the card. So right here. So I'm going to open this up just so I can stamp it. I kind of eyeballed where I think the hearts are going to go up, but just so it's flat, go here, here, and then one more there. Okay, so I'm going to give those just a moment to dry. This is kind of just something a little bit fun to add. And then I am going to go in again with the Stampin' Blends. And then finally, what I'm going to do is before we finish up, I'm actually going to put some crystal effects onto that heart. And then I just will have to wait a little bit to photograph it once it's dry and then post everything on there for you all. So let me just, that should be good. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm just going to go in with my light. Remember, you do have a little bit of ink there because we did stamp this with the background, which is okay. Just be mindful. Go a little bit of dark. These won't be quite as noticeable, but they will really look cute, I think. Okay, and then same, going back in with the light again. I'm just flipping this so it's a little bit easier for me because it's up at a weird angle. And I don't want, I colored on my card already here in one spot, on a place I didn't want to, so. And these may show through to the other side, now that I think about it. No, I think they're probably so tone on tone that it's actually not. But that's kind of cute. Look at that. So let me just give this one more crease, just so I make sure it's standing nicely. And then we just have that little follow through with the hearts. It's kind of adorable. Look at that. When they pull it out, it's going to look really cute like that. So finally, what I will do, and I'm just going to let this set to dry. So just remember, this really does need a solid, I would say, not overnight, but a solid hour to dry, especially depending on how thickly you put this on. Okay, so I'm just going to take my Crystal Effects, and I do store it. This is actually from Crafter's Solution. I do store it upside down. That way it will always be in the tip. And I don't know if Lisa is fully operating her business or not, but you know, her and Dom were on vacation recently for Christmas, which is pretty fun. So I'm just kind of, I squeeze some out, but then what I'm doing is with the tip, I'm just kind of smearing it around some. And then the cool part is, this is the shimmery one, so it does have a little bit of sparkle to it, but once it's actually dry, it's a solid, like a dome of shine. It's really, really cute. I wish I had something that I could show you. I know I made a card with it, but I sent it out. But you can see there, it's really adorable. So then this does have to set. Now, once it's set, it's clear, because right now it does have a little bit of a milky hue to the, I guess it's just because of the layers that's on there, but it really does dry completely clear. It's adorable, absolutely adorable. And then this will stand up like this. So you can find a nice, cute Valentine's something or other sentiment and put it on the inside. And honestly, it doesn't even have to be a Valentine. You could say, you make my heart go beep for whatever other thing that you want to do. You could add any of the other robots. They're really, really cute. Or you could even do on the front side, I'm nuts and bolts about you. And then on the other side, I'm just going to flip this gently. You could do, you make my heart go beep. But I think it's such a cute little card. So another fun card. And again, a totally outside the box color. I mean, I went from like gray on gray. I do think the tone on tone is super cute, but this is another really fun one. I will go back and redo a card with the buses. Maybe I will, since I have a bus card, maybe I'll do one with the bugs on the other one. And I will just redo this exact card, so with the same layout and the extra little details, but we'll make it into bugs instead, and I'll do it with a different color scheme. So right now I do have the Coastal Cabana cut out, so maybe I'll do that, but we could also incorporate the palms and maybe bring out like this, or maybe put the taller palm trees behind it, because the palm set does have a lot of really great stamps and dies. So this is also a new one, Paradise Palms. Pretty much I buy everything that's like beachy. I love the beach. I love palm trees, all that kind of fun stuff. And as a matter of fact, I even bought, this one was only, this is the die set. I didn't even buy the stamp set. The Horizon dies. I bought this because I figured these could be little beach huts, the beach grass, and then the 2 fence posts, which we always see these at the beaches by our house. So I bought this. I didn't even buy the stamps because I was like, well, really all I needed was this. So I think this will be really fun. So I can't wait to use this as well. So maybe I'll be able to bring that in there And we could do like a beach scene. I need to write this down when I finish this video. We could do a beach scene and then have the bugs on the Palm Beach. That might be a cool idea. I'm gonna have to write that down. So thank you guys so very much for joining me today. Remember, Celebration does last through February 28th. So with every qualifying purchase, I believe it is $50, and then we go up to $100. You can earn something for free, which is pretty fun. There are lots of great things to choose from. I love the bugs. This is just something that I know there's stamp sets that some people will keep forever. I used to have a Volkswagen bug. I had Volkswagens pretty much my whole life until recently. And I love this. I will never get rid of this. It's so adorable. And actually, as a matter of fact, Rainbow Stamper is the one that decided that this one needed to be an army bus because he thought that was really cool. But I have all different kinds of bugs here that I colored. I just basically stamped a whole bunch of them one day. And then we don't have dies for this, so I did fussy cut these. And honestly, they really weren't too difficult to cut. Probably the presents on top were the most, but lots of different stuff to color. So it is kind of fun. You can stamp them, color them in, cut them out, and then save them to use them another time. So thank you guys so much for joining me. If you need to get any of these supplies, you can head to my online store. It's open 24/7. You don't need your mask. Rachthestamper.stampinup.net. I thank you guys very much for joining me, and I will post all the measurements for this swing fold flip card to my blog, probably not until later today or this evening. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you again real soon.